All right, well, we are going to get going. In case you didn't know, this is take two. We're trying to bring David in remotely for this week's happy hour. Hope everybody's had a good week. Uh, let's see here. We got to add him. All right, let's see if we can get him up. Let's see. Hey, no, there he is. There's the man of the hour.
All right, are we live?
We are live. How you doing, Neil Ainsworth? Good to see you. David, what's happening? Why are you not in the happy hour studio today?
Man, I am out of town. I'm heading to a men's retreat this weekend. So I'm going to have no phone for 3 days. So literally
Man.
about an hour after we hang up here, I'm gone. Not going to have any contact with the world. I mean, it's going to be the first time in years.
It'll be the last happy hour for the weekend, I presume, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's going to be a good day. Get away from the world a little bit and get into spending some time with some other guys and the Holy Spirit and learning some stuff and just kind of unplugging for a little bit.
That's good. That's good stuff, man. Hey, Nick Barnes, how you doing?
Hey, Kathy Mingle.
Man, this is good stuff. Well, you got any big spring break plans coming up?
Man, I don't. Now, I know next year we'll be
next year you do.
Next year we'll be cruising the seas on the new ship, but not this year. Probably have to just do some work some overtime.
Yeah, I'll think about you as I'm drinking. Not this kind of tea, maybe, but we're headed down on the Celebrity Equinox down to the Western Caribbean. So should be fun.
That'll be nice.
Yeah. Well, let's get going. I mean, hey, that's why we're here, right? Talk a little real estate.
Yeah, what we got this week?
Talking about the market stats. I mean, I tell you, we got a pretty tight inventory, don't we?
Yes, yeah, we do, and I think it's all over the place. You've got a lot of people that are making offers, and it's a very competitive situation. So that's driving up prices. Rates are moving up as well. So I'm sure that there are a lot of frustrated buyers out there. I'm sure you see it all the time.
Yeah, I mean, actually, we got 12. We're down 12% in inventory. I mean, the biggest issue we're facing right now is inventory. Inventory is down 12% from January of a year ago. And, we're down to 4,900 houses. To put that in perspective, we were at in 2011, we were at 9,000 houses on average. So nearly 50% decrease in the number of houses that are available.
Wow. And you said, what are the numbers now?
Well, right now we got about 4,943 houses at the end of January, the last time it was tabulated, compared to, let's talk about 2011, 9,269 and about 500 from last year. So it's, it's tough because the demand has not shrunk on these houses. Or for the buyers, I should.
Right, and the demand's probably going to only increase going into the spring season. This is usually when people decide to do something. They've been thinking about it for a couple of months, especially if it's the weather has been a little bit colder than normal. So I think people are thinking about this a lot more, and it's going to be a little bit more demand coming up in the next few months.
Well, what's interesting, though, is that, here in Birmingham, we've got two big counties. We got Jefferson County, Shelby County, and really Shelby County stayed pretty flat in terms of the amount of inventory on the market. I mean, so what we've seen is Jefferson County's been the one kind of lagging behind. And, one of the good things is average sales price, ironically, has gone up. Hey, C-Corp, how are you?
Yeah, that's a good number. That's a good number. Now I know you've got some stats across the board here for different areas, and I'm surprised on some of the decrease in the foreclosure sales. They're way down from the highs we've seen in years past.
Amazing, isn't it? I mean, what's amazing is where we were when you and I started, right? Mid 2000s. I mean, we were golly. I mean, it was 40% of the market in some places, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think, one of the big things everybody asks is, what about the average sales price, and it increased this January to about 229,000. That's up 3%. But if you go back and you look at the foreclosures are only averaging, roughly around 104,000. So in other words, it was the lower end stuff that was getting foreclosed on, right?
Right. Yeah. And that's significant. So obviously those foreclosure sales are going to bring the averages way down.
And that, one thing that begs the question, is there anything that folks need to do to know about buying a foreclosure that's different, say, from buying just your typical resale?
Yeah, the biggest thing we run into on a foreclosure is going to be the condition of the property, and sometimes working with the seller, because obviously the seller is going to be a bank and things like that. So many times they are not going to be as flexible on making repairs or giving concessions to buyers, but certainly the condition, because there's very few, let's say, bank-owned properties where they're going to go in and put money in, fixing them up and doing things like that.
Well, that's good stuff. And the one of the great things everybody wants to know, hey, where should I be buying, right? Where's my investment the safest? And hey, stats aren't lying. That southern region, what we call the southern region, which is really south side. Hey, Courtney. She makes me laugh. It's south side south towards Calera, towards Chelsea. So you go through the over the mountain cities. Those are the strongest. In fact, I mean, I think that the average sales price there, of a non-foreclosure was $309,000, which our friends around the country are probably laughing at us when we say that is huge. But
yeah, that's a good
for
number.
us, it is.
That's a good number.
And, where have we seen the biggest decrease is in the northern region, the Gardendale, Kimberly, Hayden, Warrior, those areas. I mean, get this, though, David, a 40% decline year over year in the January of 17 to January of 18 in terms of the numbers from those 2 months. That's big.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a huge drop. And you think that's because there's less houses on the market, or?
Yeah, I think folks don't know what to do. They feel stuck. They're stuck where they are, and they want to have assurances that they're going to be able to get out, and get to where they're going. I mean, just yesterday, we were at a house and we were writing an offer on the back of my car, and literally, by the way, it goes on the market at 11 a.m. 11 a.m. is when they hit the little switch, whatever that magic button is. At 4 o'clock, we're writing the offer on the back of the thing. Here comes the listing agent, whipping around in his truck and putting an under contract sign.
Just like that, huh?
And yeah, it's a sign of what we're dealing with, isn't it?
It is. It's a very competitive market. Sellers have to love it in certain price ranges, because they're obviously going to have more buyers than there are houses right now in a lot of areas.
Right. And so what about one of the biggest concerns I have is when they need to jump on it, what's the importance of, and how hard is it to get a pre-approval letter or some proof so they can submit in these quick turnarounds?
Well, I mean, it's as soon as you get serious about wanting to buy a house, you need to talk to a lender and get those things knocked out so we can pull credit and take a look at things and go ahead and have that letter together. I would say, especially with as competitive as it is right now, you probably need to have the letter before you walk in the house.
Yeah. I mean, it helps because y'all can change them too. I mean, that's a good thing. Once you have it done, I'm sure it's easy on y'all's end.
Oh, absolutely. It takes 10, 15 seconds to change the information and send you a new one.
All right. Well, I know you want to talk to us a little bit about escrows.
Well, I just wanted to bring you some information today. It's a kind of a small part of the mortgage process, and but it's sometimes confused by people. But basically, the escrow portion of your monthly payment is going to be the taxes, the real estate taxes, and the homeowner's insurance. Those estimates are going to be rolled into your mortgage payment, and your lender is going to keep an escrow account. So basically, they are ensuring that the real estate taxes and the homeowner's insurance is paid on time, because obviously that threatens their mortgage. So So they're going to set that up. The mortgage insurance could possibly be in there as well. It's collected at closing, and basically we collect the entire first year of homeowners insurance and then a couple of months of cushion at closing. So that
who determines that, David? Who determines that? How much is collected?
Well, it's a calculation the attorney does, but basically there's tables where they can estimate the money taken into the escrow account and make sure that there's never less than 2 months of that amount available. So we're collecting those taxes prorated from October 1st to the previous year.
Why is it October 1st again?
Now our tax year is October 1st in Alabama. So that's when they assess properties, and the taxes on October 1st. And then the taxes are due. I think banks usually pay them in December, but they're due October 1. But that's
so they collect interest for 3 months.
Yeah, and that's also a big date because that's when you have to have your homestead filed. And your homestead exemption, you can file on a primary residence, and usually that cuts the taxes in half. And if you have a non-homesteaded property, and the reason I brought this topic up today is because I've got this situation on a property closing early next week. The borrower actually decided to waive escrows, which means they are going to pay the taxes and insurance on their own when they come due. Banks won't let you do this unless you put at least 20% down. And
why would I want to do it, David?
You would want to do it just so you hold on to that money instead of the bank holding on to it. Let's just say, for example, the total of your taxes and insurance are $4,000 or $5,000. Well, you control that money instead of paying it to the bank and letting them hold on to it every month.
So in other words, my payment, I'm still paying it. So in some ways, for ease, most people I would think, right, choose to escrow it anyway. Yeah,
most people escrow it anyway. Most people have to escrow because they don't put enough down to have the option. But it's really easy. Most people don't want to think about it. They don't want to, write the check when the insurance comes due. They don't want to have to worry about writing the check when the taxes come due. So most people, they'll typically escrow it anyway. Let's see here. Now, when we're talking about this homestead situation, let's say you were to purchase a property now, but you still own a home. You would probably, you won't want to switch that homestead until you have to, which would be to lock it in on the new property. So that October 1st date is going to determine when you want to do that. So if you're already past October 1st and you're going to sell the houses in a couple of months, then go ahead and leave the homestead on the current home you have. Wait till you sell that one and then transfer the homestead.
I mean, it's about 50% off when you claim that homestead.
It's about 50% off. And if you do it the right way, then the buyer on your current home won't have a problem with the non-homestead taxes coming in. Because sometimes that could cause a problem. When we set up our escrow accounts for the new mortgage, we have to collect escrows for that higher amount. So definitely could be some questions out there on that. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions on that.
I'm going to ask you a quick question on that.
Yeah.
So we get asked a lot, hey, I bought a non-homesteaded property, and obviously I'm escrowing now when I purchased it at the non-homesteaded rate. What do I need to do about getting them changed?
Okay, so that's a great question. Now, typically, mortgage lenders are going to analyze those escrow accounts every January. Okay, and they're quote unquote, let's see, regulated by the government.
You got it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Quote unquote regulated by the government. So they've got to they can't keep too much money in there. So let's say you close on a house in February right now. It's non-homesteaded. You file your homestead. So October 1st, you're going to pay the non-homesteaded amount, right? And then you contact the county and get an estimate on the homestead rate because they're going to go down. You go ahead and send that to your mortgage lender,
right,
and have them review that and change them the following January.
Now, sometimes I know a lot of y'all, so what's happening? Hey, the pride of Auburn basketball back in the day. Hey, David, that girl could push you around. She can dunk, I think. But anyway, hey, Tisa, what's up? How about pounding that like button, Tisa, so I know you're there? Anyway, so when we talk about that, now, do I call you or do I call? Because oftentimes y'all are selling the loans to say BB&T, one of the big 10 banks.
Yeah.
Right. You sell the loan. Who do I call? Do I call you or do I call Bank of America?
You're going to want to call your servicer, but if you have any problems or have any questions, you can always call me, of course. But yeah, you're going to need to call who's servicing the loan, who you're actually sending those payments to. And you don't want to send your payments to me because they will come take your house.
Take your house. Man, this is rough.
Well,
Hey, whoever's house you're at now, I take their house. I love their show. Man, somebody's got style, don't they?
Nice. So what do we got next?
Well, we're going to talk about, there's a big raging debate out there right now about Airbnb. Are you familiar with Airbnb?
Yes.
Like VRBO, these temporary short-term rentals. We're starting to see it trickle into Birmingham. Had it happen, we manage a condo development here. The homeowners didn't like it because somebody bought a unit with the intention of doing Airbnb. And I'm telling you, you would not believe the rates they got. I mean, it's amazing. And if anybody doesn't know what Airbnb does, it's very temporary. It's one-night housing. It's basically you're creating a hotel out of a rental home, essentially. And so what a lot of HOAs and cities are having trouble with is they want to regulate it for two reasons. One is they're not making any money on the taxes, right? And the HOAs are worried about safety, which I don't understand because that's making a presumption that all homeowners are cool people.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, and anybody that visits an Airbnb obviously is not. And so big thing passing right now. I mean, Nashville, big test case right now up in Nashville because they're worried about it not only diminishing. You have a nice home you spent $300,000 on, and guess what? Here comes a temporary rental in there. The people move and they just are Airbnb in it, and they have a different person in the house every night, every week, whatever it may be. And so folks are not feeling comfortable with that. But it's something that it's kind of like Uber, I would presume, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like the problem.
So they're definitely worried about the property values around there, and I guess maybe let's say. It'd be kind of like having a family right next to a hotel, right?
Yeah. Well, exactly. I think, though, I have a hard time, though, when the market got tough. Homeowners need a place to go with their house. I mean, if this can generate income to keep them from getting foreclosed on, I think we can't forget 2008 as these folks are trying, or our legislators, et cetera, are coming up with ideas on this.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely situations, and I think they're both sides of this argument could be heard. And I'm sure there's plenty of people that would not want that kind of traffic in the neighborhood all the time, turning over and things like that. And I know there's obviously some events that happen where the demand for housing in certain areas goes up. Not sure that happens as much in Birmingham, but I know there's certain events that does increase the demand for housing and opens opportunities.
Well, I mean, the other thing too is it hurts rental prices. Rental prices go, phew, it's good for our investor owners, right? But because more demand, because some of these houses are taking off the traditional rental market and are put into Airbnb and VRBO. I mean,
yes,
it's tough. And one of the last things I'll say on this, in case anybody's really interested, is you'll be shocked at who the special interest groups are that are they're rallying like I don't know, like it's a campaign. Is the special interest groups tied to hotels and the lodging industry? Of course they don't want it any more than the taxis wanted Uber.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, the consumer will win out, don't you think?
Yeah, if it threatens their business model, then they're not going to want it. But if it is better for the consumer, obviously that they're going to have to be able to save some money and compete with those other big businesses that are offering the same thing.
Well, I know that you got to get back on the road, and but didn't want to leave without you talking about the chili cook-off.
Yeah. We are going to have we're the title sponsor, and it's next Saturday, March the 3rd. It's our chili cook-off benefiting the Exceptional Foundation, which serves mentally and physically challenged folks in the Birmingham area. They have a 12,000, I think, square foot recreation center over by Homewood Park.
Over by Nate Beals, I believe.
Yeah, and this is their largest fundraiser. They came into the office and talked to us, and it was just a very uplifting story about the kids that are there. I think most of the kids are over 21. They do have school-age children, but those are mainly after-school programs. But, Tricia Kirk is the CEO of the Exceptional Foundation. She was really funny, really nice lady.
Yeah, tough job, too.
Yeah. And she just said that the biggest thing that stood out to me was she said that I can't tell anybody we don't have room for their baby, for their child.
Wow.
And they want to, they do a lot for those guys, and this is their biggest fundraiser. So we're going to be there. We're going to have a booth set up. We haven't done this before, so it'll be our first time. We're excited. And then I would go to exceptionalfoundation.org for information on tickets. But it's going to be next Saturday in Brookwood Village from 10:30 to 3 p.m. So you guys come out.
Now, are you cooking?
I know
chili?
We will have a booth with chili, and I will probably have to cook, but it is not my recipe.
Well, hey, I will give you a piece of trivia that I learned from old Ken Williams, who's now a chef here in Birmingham. Real chili does not have beans. I mean, who knew?
No beans. I think I've had
beans. He thinks that you should be, because he goes every year to this cook-off. It's a huge deal here in Birmingham. He firmly believes that you should be disqualified if you have beans in the chili.
Well, I hope he's not judging next week.
Because there will be a lot of beans.
Yeah, he'll be kicking a lot out.
Well, anyway, I know that this went by pretty quick. We want to get you back on the road, but, man, safe travels.
Thank you. And we will tune it back in next week.
Same time, 4 o'clock next week. There's Mark. Hey, Martin finally made it.
Thank you, Mark. A little bit late, but we like it, buddy.
That's funny. All right, mahalo.
See you.
See you, man.